Ever play Halo? Destiny? If so, you owe a debt of gratitude to this person. Do you know his name? No? Let's fix that and celebrate this A-list game dev hero. If you were lucky enough to remember the world before the internet, then you know how epic it was to watch human history transition from the cold, hard industrial age to the head-swimming astonishment of the information age. Okay, the tech sounds janky now, but at the time it was amazing. No, really. Just try to imagine it. Whatever, it was the transition that was amazing. Just imagine the transition, moving on. It began with the world letting out a collective sigh of relief as the dreaded Y2K bug never delivered a dark age-level event many had feared. Many historic moments occurred with zero fanfare, including the 2001 launch of a curious little website called Wikipedia. Instead, the world celebrated the release of Windows XP, Microsoft's iconic operating system that would become a staple for years to come. 2001 was a mini golden age for entertainment. Two timeless book adaptations hit theaters that same year: Peter Jackson's cinematic masterpiece, The Lord of the Rings, as well as Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. In the game industry, a barely known project was quietly listed as a launch title for Microsoft's skeptical entry into the console market. Keep in mind, this game wasn't the headliner. And just weeks prior, the holiday season was overshadowed by the September 11th attacks in the U.S. But as public mourning eventually looked for a little escape, this game, developed for an inaugural console, would soon carve out its own place in the annals of gaming history, becoming a benchmark for its genre and spawning a franchise that endures to this day. The console, the original Xbox, and the game, Halo, Combat Evolved. Back then, absolutely no one predicted the success of Halo, and at the helm was an unrecognized programmer and Bungie co-founder. He too did not know the path he was hurtling down. But how did he get to the threshold of gaming history? What events led to the opportunity to develop a launch title? And how did his project influence the path of the gaming industry? These are some of the questions we will explore as we chart the course of a little-known but very influential A-list game developer, Jason Jones.
Welcome to the party.
The first game that earned Bungie a small blip on the map was Marathon. No, not that Marathon. Believe it or not, before Destiny, before Halo, and before Microsoft's acquisition of Bungie, Jason and a small team already developed a first-person shooter of the same name. What, you haven't heard of it? That's because it was created for Apple's Macintosh platform. I'll say it again. In the mid-90s, the platform of choice for one of the most influential game developers of our time was the Macintosh. Marathon was an iteration of the Doom and Wolfenstein-style shooters. Of the innovations Jason and his team introduced were verticality and more intense jump-scare encounters as you navigate dark and creepy environments. Another improvement was a deliberate focus on narrative design, a quality that Jason has kept with him to this day. As Mr. Jones helped Bungie make a name for itself within the Macintosh game community, it's hard to say that with a straight face. It grabbed the attention of a one Stephen Paul Jobs, a slightly influential person in his own right, if I remember correctly. Fun fact, the first ever game footage of Halo was unveiled at none other than Macworld Expo back in 1999. Shortly after, Bill Gates snatched Bungie away from Steve, as he often did back then, and the rest is history.
Sir, permission to leave the station.
For what purpose, Master Chief?
To give the Covenant back their bomb.
Permission granted.
To say the launch of Halo was a watershed moment might actually be underselling it. To put it into perspective, before the Xbox hit store shelves, only 2 console first-person shooters ever achieved commercial success. Once in 1997, when we were blessed with 007 GoldenEye for Nintendo 64, and the other was in 1986, when a free copy of Duck Hunt was bundled with every purchase of the NES Deluxe Edition. Let's watch some ironic footage while you let that sink in.
And so I'm very happy to welcome on the stage Jason Jones.
Everything you're about to see is being rendered in real time on a Macintosh using OpenGL.
In hindsight, it should have been obvious. If the 2 biggest tech giants at the time were fighting over Jason's team, something special was about to happen. Another fun fact, legend has it Halo nearly shipped without a multiplayer mode. That's like imagining the first Model T rolling off the assembly line without wheels, or the Wright brothers' first flight without wings, or a smile without teeth. That last one, a recurring nightmare. Man, losing that first baby tooth, I still mourn the day. Mental health, people. Therapy's for everyone. Shut up. Talk to a Gen X or millennial parent who played it back then, and they will undoubtedly reminisce the times they lugged their entire Xbox setup to a friend's house for some LAN multiplayer all-nighters. For you Gen Z kiddos, LAN stands for Local Area Network, where multiple machines in the same physical space are connected to a local hub. And if you had 4 Xbox consoles, you could play epic 16-player battles. 3 years later, Microsoft and Bungie made it easier for everyone by launching Halo 2 and Xbox Live, offering a true online multiplayer experience for a console.
Sleep well?
No thanks to your driving, yes.
So you did miss me.
It is also worth noting that, for many, specifically those not into fighting games, the first Halo was the only game worth replaying, and it propped up Xbox sales for over a year until the next must-have game was finally released. For all of you who have enjoyed a multiplayer console shooter, you owe a hefty debt of gratitude to Microsoft, Bungie, and Jason's pioneering team of talented developers. But little did we know at the time, Jason wasn't satisfied. Feeling like a multiplayer shooter could go even further, Jason stepped away from the still young Halo franchise to work on a secret project, one that would allow Bungie to achieve the ultra-rare feat of leaving the very franchise they founded to walk away from the hand that fed them and successfully eat from another.
Okay, it's not going to break orbit. It just might get us to the city.
Just as no one knew Halo would go on to change the world, it's not likely Jason knew his next franchise would repeat many of Halo's historic milestones. Before Fortnite, before Apex Legends, before GTA Online hit its stride, Destiny pretty much drafted the first, lasting blueprints for the live service model. Other games before it, with similar strategies, definitely contributed, which will be explored in future videos. But Jason Jones's Destiny proved the model for both first-person shooters and consoles. Now here, we need to step back a moment. No genre has caused a larger divide between gamers and publishers like the live service model. I say that because game enthusiasts are largely united in other controversial practices like loot boxes and predatory microtransactions. There's little debate with those controversies. It's a resounding no thank you.
Pretty much.
But the live service game is the forbidden fruit core gamers can't help but sample. The trouble lies in the holy grail publishers drool over that consists of a life cycle of predictable annual revenue and a loyal customer base to upsell in the future. These are the metrics that work executives into a blind frenzy, where they not only forget themselves, but forget the strengths of the talent they have on their payroll and the very customers they see more as a harvest than a collective group of hopes and desires. Not everyone is built like Jason Jones. He has made it clear that multiplayer is his arena of choice, in which he clearly performs well. When a publisher strong-arms a single-player game studio, 9 times out of 10, the project is doomed before it ever begins. If there is any animosity to be had about the live service model, it is against those who arrogantly petition game developers to accept it as a cheap carnival game that can be won with a cleverly timed tilt. In reality, the live service model is an intricate, complex set of conceptual tools that require a development team willing and able to use them effectively. It is no fault of their own if a talented, proven group of developers were forced to adopt a misrepresented live service model by executives on the shareholders' leash. What should be made clear is, if a game developer has proven their ability in this unforgiving industry, then nothing can ever take that away. And if you think this channel is anti-business, I've got a surprising game dev executive that will be featured on this channel. Keep an eye out for that. It's sure to surprise you. But to keep the tension, before that, our next game dev hero played a pivotal role in establishing one of the most successful franchises in the last 20 years. But such a game dev rock star deserves their own story, which you can watch at the end of this video.
Games are fun because they can reach you in ways that other forms of entertainment don't. Like, games really are something that you participate in. And so there's an ability to make a player feel victorious. And I wanted to be part of building that.
All ends are beginnings. Our fight is far from over.
Having changed the course of the game industry twice, Jason has long demonstrated a mind several steps ahead of the industry, possibly longer than anyone not named Shigeru Miyamoto. So, the solidification of a console shooter model the rest of the industry could follow, and the solidification of a console live service model that games businesses are still wrapping their heads around. Either one of those accomplishments on their own would be impressive, let alone achieving both. It is an impressive resume to say the least, but Jason does not rest on his laurels. In May of 2023, the reboot of Marathon was announced, no doubt championed by Jason Jones. But it's difficult to confirm that, as Mr. Jones is not one for the public spotlight. Like many game devs, he prefers his work to speak for itself. Which is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, the important part takes center stage, and deservingly so. But at the same time, it makes it easier to forget the most important part, the thing that any game's existence depends on, the game developer. So, if the release of Marathon is exciting to you, celebrate it. Enjoy the immersive experience it brings you, but also take a moment to recognize the hardworking folks pouring their souls into this unique medium. So, here's to Jason Jones and his development teams, spanning more than 2 decades. Thank you for the unforgettable memories of linking together 4 Xbox machines and setting up TVs in the hallways, on kitchen counters, and on coffee tables. Thank you for justifying the purchase of a console as its maker scrambled for over a year to release their next must-have game. For every virtual world we explore, a legion of unsung heroes, the game developers, craft the enduring memories we create alongside our friends. They pour their hearts and souls into crafting the games we hold dear. Yet their work often remains hidden, obscured by the very worlds they create. Behind every boss fight, behind every level upgrade, lies their unwavering dedication. These developers collaborate seamlessly like a balanced raid party. They're the healers, the tanks, the DPS, the roles that blend into a symphony of gameplay. Each line of code, each texture map, each music file contributes to the shared experience. So, here's to you, GameDev heroes. Your work does not go unnoticed. You've brought joy, excitement, and inspiration to gamers worldwide. As the pixels continue to ignite our imaginations, may your legacy continue to inspire the next generation of players for years to come. Thank you for making the world a better place, one headshot at a time. If you want to support the celebration of game devs like Jason, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That is how I will be able to make more videos like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next round.
I think it is the most dangerous thing as a designer to enjoy the making more than the playing, right? Because the number of things you can enjoy making is infinitely larger than the number of things that you can enjoy playing, right? Much less other people can enjoy playing.